Hello, I'm Dylan A. Young. I'm here with Stolen Thunder Pictures, representing the 4 short films that were picked up for the festival. Thank you very much, Sarah. I really appreciate it. First, I feel like my love of horror started at a very young age, probably with some early animated Disney work that was a little scarier, like The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, or even Pinocchio. The donkey transformation scene was one that really scared me as a kid, and I really enjoyed that. There was also some scary story CD compilations I would get, but I feel like my love for live action horror really came from seeing Gremlins for the first time. I'd always wanted to be a filmmaker even since I was little. I can remember thinking about story ideas or what music might fit a soundtrack well, but it wasn't ever something that felt realistic to me. Not having money and being in the Midwest, it didn't seem like filmmaking was a possibility. It wasn't until 2019 that I worked on Charlie Steeds's film Death Ranch that I realized that, for a micro budget you can make an awesome film. So I started to pursue filmmaking, and that brings us to my first film, Veronica. The idea behind Veronica was to make a classic revenge story along the lines of The Last House on the Left, I Spit on Your Grave, Nail Gun Massacre, but make it less exploitive so women could actually enjoy the film, and I still wanted to make sure people felt that the sexual assault scene was very impactful. While not exploitive, it would still hit hard. I wanted to put people in this fantasy perspective of what would a woman in these shoes want to do, whether or not there were legal recourse or not. For my second film, Better Safe Than Sorry, I had come up with the idea because I was on a different set with both of the actresses that were in the film, and I thought, man, it would be really cool to do a film where this mom helps this daughter just take care of this issue and, maybe helps them bury some shitty boyfriend character or something. So a little while later, I went to go make a fantasy horror film in Nashville, Tennessee. I got down to Nashville and went to go get food for everybody and realized that COVID panic had hit in the US. I lost probably 80% of my cast and crew and stayed up all night writing that story. I had come up with them forever ago because those were the 2 actresses that I had, and I figured, why not make this story? I already have rentals done, so, I'm invested. I want to make something. So that was probably the most short notice thing I'll ever do, and it was so much fun. Next up was Something in the Woods. I started Something in the Woods as a feature, and the first 2 days of production was just 2 separate filler death scenes. A year and a half went by because the feature was essentially shut down because of COVID, and I realized I can't continue it. People have grown older at this point, and it wouldn't quite match. So I decided to just take these 2 separate pieces of story and see if I could work them into a short film. I'm glad that I didn't waste any footage, and it's a pretty cool short film, but it is very anticlimactic. My most recent short film project was Good Morning. Bella Martin came out from California. We had 1 day to film it, and everything was practical in it. That was a bulk of the shooting, was just working on the practical effects to design the demon, and I'm really glad how it turned out. I'd say the biggest challenge as a filmmaker is having to deal with the budget issues. Coming up with money. Where do you get money? Are you raising money yourself? Are you crowdfunding? Do you have an investor? For me, I've always just self-funded my films. I'm looking for investments in the future, but I think that's the biggest struggle that a lot of indie filmmakers are going to face. For me, the most rewarding experience as a filmmaker is playing my film for an audience and getting audience reactions. A group reaction of a laugh or a gasp really just makes me feel like I did my job properly, and it's a really heartwarming feeling. I'd say for me right now, top current horror films are probably Possession, Cannibal Holocaust, Phantom of the Paradise, Alien, The Thing, the British film Peeping Tom. There's so many great classic horror films that I love, so it's hard for me to narrow it down, but those are some of the few that came to mind. Well, thanks again, Sarah, and hope the festival goes great.